In this video, we're going to have a look at how to represent data using a scatter plot. A scatter plot is different to all the graphs that we've done up to this point because a scatter plot makes use of two sets of data and compares them. A scatter plot then helps us to determine whether these two sets of data have a strong correlation or relationship, and it also makes it easier to identify outliers. Example. The table gives the English and mathematics marks of 9 learners. First question, represent the data in a scatter plot. In a scatter plot, there is no independent variable, so it won't make a difference which of the two values you choose to place on the x-axis. I'm going to place English on the x-axis and mathematics on the y-axis. A point on the graph then represents one learner's English and math marks at the same time. So for my first point, I'm going to focus on 80 on my x-axis and estimate where 86 is on my y-axis, and then where these two marks come together, I will plot my first point. Next up, we have 50 on the x-axis and 42 on the y-axis. Next up, we have 62 and 66. Then our next point is 75 and 72. Next up is 30 and 35. And then we have 55 and 85. Our third last point is at 78, 78. Then we have 60 and 50. And finally 48 and 55. And now that we've plotted all the points, the scatter plot is complete. Question 2. Is there an outlier that you can identify in the scatter plot? According to the scatter plot, it looks like these learners' English and mathematics marks have a strong correlation. They all form more or less a straight line. Here I've just drawn a freehand straight line, but in grade 12 you will see exactly how to determine this straight line. Because the points all lie very close to this line, we can say that in this case your English and mathematics marks have a strong correlation, which means that your English mark can be an indication of what you can achieve in mathematics. However, here we have an outlier. An outlier is a point that doesn't follow the trend or the correlation of the other points. Here we can see that the mark of 55 for English and 85 for maths has a big difference between the two and is therefore an outlier. If we look at the trend formed by the other marks, you will see that we would expect a mark of 55 for English to rather indicate a mark of more or less 60 for mathematics. It is, however, very important to realize that this trend, the straight line that we've drawn, is only an indication of possible marks and not a definite way of determining your marks and abilities.